Some of the misconceptions parents have about fevers, how to treat them, and calm those fears. And Dr. Laura Jana is a member of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Good morning, Dr. Jana. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's first deal with the issue of age groups. You've got newborns, older infants, and children, and those categories should be treated differently.
Well, certainly when you're mentioning newborns, we want to make sure that parents still have the sense that a fever in a newborn under the age of 3 or 4 months needs to be discussed with a doctor. But as we get into older infants and into older children age range, really the message is for parents that we want to be focusing more attention on the child's comfort level than the fever.
So much leads to so-called fever phobia with parents. Obviously, it's your baby, and suddenly your baby has a fever, and you can panic, and also that leads to misunderstanding and misconceptions about what to do. And that's a part of this study. What are some of the misunderstandings that this study really honed in on?
Well, again, focusing on what parents perceive to be the problem, a lot of parents really go after this trying to get the temperature back down to normal.
But isn't that what you're supposed to do?
And you don't need to. The misconception is that fever is inherently bad, and it's not. Fever actually serves a useful purpose in fighting infection. So if parents focus their attention on getting a temperature down to the level where the child's comfortable rather than chasing the number, then they'll be doing a much better job of taking care of their kids' fevers.
And you say that fevers can actually be good for the child. How's that the case? Because you assume if there's a fever, my child is ill. Well, so that can't be good.
One of parents' biggest fears is that that fever is going to do some damage. And in fact, we know that in an otherwise healthy child who now has a fever, it does not cause any sort of damage. At the same time, can help the body fight infection. So we don't want to get rid of all fever. It's not an illness in and of itself. It's a symptom. And if it's making your child uncomfortable, then you can treat it, but you don't need to otherwise.
So if the child is running around and acting, reasonably normal or healthy, then you should not again go into this panic mode.
That's one way that I explained to parents. I said if you have to chase your child down when they're running around the house, then it's a good sign they don't need to be treated for a fever. And unfortunately, we know that in the clinical report, as many as 80 to 85% of parents would actually wake a sleeping child to try to treat the number when the child's comfortably sleeping.
Comfortably rest. Interesting. So what should you do if you pick up your child and notice that, he or she is running a little fever? What do you do?
Well, the first, and it seems somewhat obvious, but important thing to say is get an accurate temperature. You can't just use the back of your hand on your child's forehead, which
like my mother did my whole life.
Yeah, everybody does this one.
I feel you there.
So you want to get a thermometer and take an accurate temperature. And if you happen to have one of the mercury thermometers of olden days, those need to be disposed of safely. They're not safe in the home, and they're not safe for the environment.
But there are some new great options out, and you have them here. The first one is the rectal thermometer, which would seem, or you would assume, easiest for an infant.
And I will reinforce what you just said. It is easiest, but I will also tell you that a lot of parents cringe at the thought of using a rectal thermometer. It's very easy. It does not cause the child any discomfort, and in fact, it is the gold standard recommendation by pediatricians during infancy is use a rectal thermometer to get a temperature and report it to your doctor.
And the other category you have are the underarm or axillary?
Right. Some of the traditional ways that we're all used to taking temperatures in the mouth is a useful way to do it, but you have to have the child sit still long enough, so it's not usually till you're getting towards school age. Same thing with under the arm. Some of the newer technology, although it's been around quite a while and is quite accurate, includes both ear thermometers and forehead temporal artery thermometers. The ear thermometer, you need to be careful that first of all you're not dealing with a lot of earwax because that can change the reading, and also you need to know that the ears aren't cold. The child hasn't been outside playing for a long time. The temporal artery thermometer, I actually own a child care center among other things, and this is something that's so convenient because you don't have to probe a child, you don't have to do anything other than put this on the forehead, swipe it across.
Does it work?
You know what? You turn it on, you hold this part to the child's forehead, swipe it across, and you get a digital readout right here because it uses infrared technology to get the temperature.
This is new technology, so some people might worry if you're getting an accurate reading, should you take off a degree or add a degree?
And again, I'll emphasize, it's newer in that a lot of parents who may still have mercury thermometers don't know about it, but it actually is very accurate, and it's very convenient because it gives a quick and easy
temperature. What about keeping your child comfortable?
And that, again, getting back to the focus of keeping children comfortable, some of the non-medical things you can do can be simply making sure that they're well hydrated. Fever can certainly dehydrate children. Unbundling them if they're too warm, wrapping them up a little bit if they're feeling really cold. Those sorts of things are fine. And a cool compress is okay, but absolutely no ice baths and alcohol baths. Those should be in the garbage can, out of your armamentarium.
Good information. Thank you so much, Dr. Jana. We greatly appreciate it.